It feels like Groundhog Day.
Hi, my friends.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so good. I've been very like zen and chill lately. Been doing all the work, Um, probably because I've been hyper focusing in a good way. In a good way.
No, I do have to say, I think I said this earlier too, that given all of the chaos that's going on in your life right now, you are managing to stay super calm and it's reflected today. We're having technical difficulties. We had a guest. She was going to be on the last show. She couldn't get on. We were going to try her have on now, and she still can't get on. So we get to ad lib and do 2 shows, just the 2 of us. Fortunately, we both are really good at talking, and so we'll just make it work. It'll all
Right?
be good.
It's gonna be great. I was thinking today about travel. Um, uh, Thinking about everybody's got like different ideas on what good travel is. I love all travel. There's no such thing as bad travel. My family and I were definitely road people. Like we love getting in the truck and driving. I love doing like motorcycle trips, like long open road. I hate traffic. I hate like short little trips with traffic, right? But big long road trips, I love it. I think it's so cool to see things. You're Julietta's like, no, put me on a plane.
Well, I like the destination. I just like long periods of time in a car. No, thank you.
No.
I get on a plane. I tell you, I like hibernate or I like leave my body. I do not know how to stay awake on a plane. Like I get on the plane and I go, "Mm," and I don't wake up until I get there. Part of that is I do not want to use the toilet on the plane. That is like the most disgusting place in the world. And so as long as I'm asleep, I'm not really aware that I have to go to the bathroom. So I like do this thing where I wait until I just before I'm going to get on the plane, I empty out and then I go hop on the plane and I go to sleep and I
Just to wait for the dark spell to pass.
and like typically when I'm waking up is when the plane hits the runway. It's like, oh,
Wow.
okay, we've landed, time to wake up. One time I was on this flight from Paris to Miami and we hit the ground and I like kind of wake up and the woman next to me, it was funny, she just started speaking to me in Spanish and I'm laughing that she thought that I would understand her, which even though I don't look like I understand and speak Spanish, I do. But she was just like, oh my God, that was like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. How did you sleep through that flight? And I'm like, yeah, it's my superpower. It's what I do. I get on a plane. I mean, there's been many times too that I'm asleep before the plane even takes off.
Wow.
And, like food on the planes it's so disgusting these days. Like, I don't care that I missed that meal. And I'm like, don't you dare like poke me and wake me up for the disgusting meal. Like, just leave me sleeping. And when we get there, I will wake up. I get off the plane. I search for the first restroom, and I just then go on about my day.
That
But
is hysterical. Like
I don't know why I don't sleep well in cars though. And so like that's just like never ending torture to be stuck in a car. Like
we're totally the opposite because as soon as I get in the car, okay, you know how like they say to prepare your bedroom in such a way so that when you walk in, your body automatically makes you sleepy, right? Because you're like, oh, this is the sleep place. So for me, it's being in the car, even being on the back of a motorcycle. Like literally, my boyfriend is driving the motorcycle and I'm on the back and I'm falling asleep to the point that my head pops over. No, first of all, I'm too wide to fall off of anything. I'm not, my ass is too big for that. But my head will bob forward. And so the front of my helmet will hit the back of his helmet. So then he has to tap me awake, like, get up now. Because I mean, you just get me like a warm breeze and I'm immediately tired. So being in the car, like that's my big thing. Like I can sleep. I think it's because I go so hard during the week. Like there's so much that I'm constantly doing. And even though I'm getting my 8 hours, like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like quote unquote resting very much. So when I get in a car, not while I'm driving, obviously, but if I'm the passenger, I'm immediately sleepy. Like that's how you are on a plane. To me, airplane time, that is like, because I can't read in the car, right? Like moving vehicle, I can't, it makes me want to throw up. But in a plane, that to me is like found golden time. I'm like, I literally, when I'm pack on a to go on a trip, the first thing I pack is probably about 5 books because I don't know. I'm not that I can read all 5, but I don't know what mood I'm going to be in. So I like to stockpile different things and be ready. And as soon as I get on a plane, it's like sitting in a library. I'm like, oh, thank God, I get the next several hours all to myself. And that's it. I put on some headsets, listen to some music, read my book. I might watch a movie, but I'm generally awake 99% of the time.
Yeah, most of the time I'm not. I did stay awake for our travels back and forth from San Miguel de Allende. Part of that was discomfort flying back. Like I couldn't get comfortable enough to fall asleep. But that was a different kind of pain. But in general, like planes are not comfortable because I'm gonna start 3690. I fly everywhere first class. There we
There you
go.
go. There you go.
Maybe if I was flying first class, I would be comfortable enough to want to stay awake. But yeah, usually that's just my escape from the discomfort of being packed in like a sardine and like being around everybody else's energy that I don't want to be around. And so, but since we're talking about travel, let's talk about our giant retreat coming up later this year. Finally, last week, I completed our sales page for our retreat to Egypt. And I'm super, super, super excited to take more people there. It is such a magical place for me. Like it's, like some places you go to visit because of the things to see and do when you're there. And yes, Egypt has tons of stuff to see and do. But for me, it's so much more magical than that. And, it's just a metaphysical, spiritual, energetic space. And especially for anyone who, like I laugh when people are like, "Oh, I wish I like received messages from my spirit guides like you do," or "I wish I could feel energy the way that you do." I'm like, "Come to Egypt because it's like turn up the volume on everything and it's going to help you awaken to all those things in ways that you never thought possible." And just being around like the history of what went on there, and being in the energy of the pyramid and the Sphinx and all these different temples, like stuff just comes at you and comes at you. And like part of the start of this podcast a little bit is from I've talked about this before. After visiting Philae Temple in Egypt, which Philae Temple is Isis's temple, that night she came to me and talked about the importance of us women needing to heal ourselves and awaken the true sacred feminine energy within us to bring back the balance, because the scales have been tipped so far into the masculine energy that we've lost the balance, which then just makes all of the feminine masculine toxic because it's out of balance. And so we need to heal ourselves and bring forth the sacred feminine. And so I don't know who thumbs it up that, but yes. But also what's been so interesting to me with that message as well is that like now that I've, fully tapped into, okay, I accept like this is part of my mission, is that I'm here to help bring back that sacred feminine energy. Like I'm reading all these other women that are getting the same message from other places. And I'm like, we can't all be receiving this message for no reason. Like it's important out there. And even though most people, if you're listening to this message later, it's not going to matter, but we do have this weekend coming up and there's one more spot left if someone wants it, but we're going to be really diving into that goddess, sacred feminine energy at our Activate the Goddess Within retreat. So if you're watching this live right now on YouTube or anytime in this week of April 15th, we do have one slot for this weekend. If you'd like to join us, reach out and we can get you on the list. But back to Egypt, like it is, like a lot of places you go and it's like, I only need to go there once and that's okay. Like I've done, it's good. Like my vision is that I get to go back. I get to take people every single year and get to go back every year. And, yeah. So,
one of the things I love about how this retreat is going to play out is that, the Egypt one, that we will be traveling as a group. So you have like the comfort and safety, if you will, of traveling with a group. And I say safety because I'm old and my mother made me afraid of everything. And so, like I spent so much of my youth being afraid to travel alone. So just in case anyone else is in that space, just know that everything we're going to do, we will do together. And there are going to be pockets where you have time to be on your own. So can you talk a little bit about that, like the group time versus the alone time?
So, well, and, we have it set up so that the beginning of the trip is really about going to all the ancient sites and, seeing the pyramids, the Sphinx, the different temples and stuff, because you don't want to go all the way to Egypt and only be on retreat and not see these things. But there are, specific times during the day where we go and visit the sites. And then you have time to go back to your room or go to the pool or go, wherever and just chill out. But then after that beginning tour portion of the trip over there, at the end, we have the retreat portion, which is, it is definitely going to be more downtime. There is going to be more meditation time. And we're also going to be utilizing this to connect with the sacred blue lotus of ancient Egypt, which I do see like on my social media feed, and probably because I do talk about the blue lotus, all this blue lotus products are popping up. And even, I use the doTERRA essential oils. The new oil, one of the new oils that they brought out this year is the blue lotus oil. And what I will say is, even if these people say it's Egyptian oil, hi Raquel. But even if they say it's Egyptian oil, it's really the Asian blue lotus. And so my first trip over there, Mary has this pond of these Egyptian blue lotuses. And like when you see them compared to a regular lotus, like you understand like, oh yes, these are different. But also when I smelled that blue lotus, and I'm telling you, like, how many flowers have I smelled in my life? Like a cajillion flowers. But I smelled that flower and I literally felt it change something in my brain. And like, for those who don't know anatomy, like our olfactory, our smell system goes straight to the brain. Like all our other sensories have to travel down this nerve pathway to get to the brain. But the nerve, like literally through your nose, there's like some holes that go up to your brain. And so the scent just like hits it instantaneously. And yeah, I can't even put into words like what my experience of that was. And the only way to figure it out is to experience it yourself. So we will be meditating with the blue lotuses. We will be hopefully having blue lotus tea. And but during that time, there will be plenty of downtime, quiet time. and just really being able to tap into the energies there and open your third eye, open your crown chakra, and really connect to that spiritual realm, to your higher self, to your spirit guides. And yeah, it's
I was
it's
gonna say,
unexplainable.
it's amazing. And I was going to say, if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to our episode with Mary Lamondo, she is our amazing guide there, and really you should listen to her episode. She has lived in Egypt for what, like 40 years or 30 years or something like that. Sorry if I overaged you, Mary. A
Yeah.
really long decades and decades, we'll put it that way. She is an Egyptologist. She is an astrologer. She's just really one of those conduits, and so much of what we will experience, like you said, Julietta, is hard to explain. And I will say also, I would love for us to do a little, and we will do a little prep work before we go, because I think, like everything else in life, if you go through it, what I call unaware, then you're just going to see what you want to see. And if you are in the right mindset, you're going to experience what you want to experience. So I think that part is really important too. We have that one blog on our site that says your spirit guides aren't going to meet you at the bar. You can't wish for a more spiritual life and a more calm, with ease and flow awareness, and still stay on the treadmill. You got to get off, and a good way to prepare yourself for all of that is to come to our smaller events. Do you want to know what it's like? Do you want to ask questions? Do you want to get little tastes of what it is to be in sacred spaces and safe spaces? Come take little bits at a time, so that when that big retreat does come, you're showing up with the right mindset and the right expectations, and to really give yourself the fullest experience you can, right?
Yeah, for sure. And one thing too, I will say, like, if Egypt calls you even at all, like, it's a call you need to listen to, because Egypt has gifts that you can only receive by going. And sometimes I want to kick myself, because I met Mary, I can't, for sure, I met her at least 15 years before I finally like went to Egypt with her. And we've talked about this on a bunch of episodes, but every year, I would get her flyer about, the upcoming trip and what the plans were for this trip. And every year I'd be like, oh, I don't have the money for this. Oh, I don't have the money for this. I don't have the money for this. I don't have, for the 15 years. And so finally, 2017, that was the year I was turning 50. And I was like, I just declared it. I'm like, I don't care if I have to rob a bank, if I have to create a GoFundMe, if I have to tell my dad this is what he's getting me for my birthday. Like, I didn't care. I was just like, I was done not giving myself this thing that I knew that I wanted and needed in my life. And so I just declared, I am going to Egypt this year. I don't know how it's going to happen. No, I don't have the money right now yet to go, but I am going. And I put down my deposit for the trip, and I bought my airline tickets to go over there. And I don't know how much time went by, maybe a month or something like that. I got this call for one of the courses that I teach. Hey, can you go teach this course over in England next weekend? And like, it was a big deal for me to rearrange everything just to leave to go to England the next weekend.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how much are you going to pay me to do this? And the hilarious thing was, like, the amount that he was going to pay me to go teach this class was essentially exactly the amount of money I needed to be able to go to Egypt. And that was just a huge, huge lesson for me. Is like, when we declare things and just tell the universe, like, this is absolutely what I want. The universe will step up and give you it. And so, even for people listening right now, if you are listening and you're saying, I don't have the money I want to go, but I don't have the money, like, don't let that be the excuse why you don't go. Because when you get clarity on it and you say exactly what you want to the universe is going to support you. And like, that's probably one of the most beautiful gifts that I got from that trip to Egypt, was learning my power to declare what I want. And it's normal, like, every once in a while, something will come up and I'll be a little freaked out, like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. And then I remember who I am. I remember my power. I remember the power of declaration, and I just make it happen. And I know you've done that a million times over as well.
Yeah. And I know I repeat this a lot, but being in community and being around people that understand these realities helps so much, because sometimes, I always say your brain is it's poor little brain, bless its little heart. Like it's just doing its very best to keep up with you. And we are so much more than what we think we are. And being in places like Egypt, having the experiences that we're going to have, it again serves as a reminder. And having a community with you of people to kind of like help you and guide you along, that's the magic. So many times I've been, you said much more eloquently than I'm about to, but like, when you're in your shit and you're like, I can never do this, I can never do that, all these things always go wrong and I never get what I want, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen, right? So having friends that are like, no, we are making this happen, this is exactly how you can do this, and let's go do it. And then, don't worry about the how, let the how work itself out. It always does. So many what you might call miracles have happened for me over the last 4 months. I mean, I could write a book about it. Note to self, I probably should, but yeah, it's really amazing when you put your mind and your effort into creating the life that you want. And we'll make it happen. We'll figure out how to make Egypt happen. So definitely. Do you want one of these?
Yes, I do.
I have my Isis deck. And so if you'd like, I can pick a card for you.
Well, and what I'm going to say is, this card that you're picking is for everybody who's listening. Like, the message is going to be for me, but it's also, if you are listening to this and you're hearing this message from this deck, this message is also for you. It's not just for me. Okay. So
let's see what we got. If you're watching online,
that one right there. Yeah. That one.
It says, wait, I'm going to have to put my glasses on for this one. Hold on. It says, Mother of Life, nourishment of the golden grain mother. Look at that beautiful image.
That is a beautiful one.
Okay,
the Isis wings, all of it. I like all of it.
I'm going to tell you guys the short part, because this book is so great. When you pull the card, it gives you this beautiful long explanation. I'm just going to read you the main part. It says, Mother of Life, nourishment of the golden grain mother. We can sometimes fall into existing and doing rather than truly living. We only know that this has happened when suddenly our life seems dry, depleted, filled with tasks, or feels like we are stuck in a rut or habit that may have been comfortable but is becoming stifling and suppressing. Isis, the Mother of Life, holds the ability to restore even the most numb, resistant, and difficult circumstances and people back into life. She calls to you now, seeking to bestow gifts of life upon you. Be bold and brave, open your arms, and receive.
I love it.
Beautiful, right?
The whole receiving thing, a big message that's been coming through for me lately is, like, anything that I don't want, or anything that I don't have that I want, is the reason I don't have it is because I'm not fully open to receiving it. And just shifting your perspective to, I'm ready to receive this. I'm worthy of receiving this. I'm deserving of receiving this. And the universe will change, it will shift, and it will allow.
Yeah, the one of the things that I read once that it was like such a hard thing to hear, was you have the exact life that you want, right? I mean, that's like, damn, you're right. Everything I have and don't have and every circumstances is because at some point you kind of wanted it, you declared it, you made decisions, you what have you. And so if that makes you feel uncomfortable, right? Like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this particular circumstance or this particular thing to happen. Dig a little bit, dig into it and see what is it that you were like clinging on to or gripping to that created this circumstance, and then how can you use that to shift into what you do want. um let's see, what time is it? We've got about 5 more minutes. I'm curious, Julietta, if you could talk a little bit about being in Egypt and having quote unquote downloads, like information, receiving messages. And I know that that's a big question to ask for, just having a few minutes left, but sometimes it sounds so far out there for folks that haven't had that experience. I'm curious if we could talk about what it does feel like to have that experience and how that could move you forward in your life.
Well, and one of the things that, when I'm trying to explain to people what it's like, because I have been in communication with spirit guides for many, many years. And most of the time that information is coming to me in frequency, if that makes any sense. And like when I need to share the message, I need to shift the message into the language that we speak, since we don't speak in frequency. We should. And I think we're evolving towards that. Like, especially when you wrote, you said, hey, should I pull a card? And I'm like, I wrote on this piece of paper before you said that we should pull a card. And so you received that frequency of that message that I was sending without me telling you in words. So when I got to Egypt, it was like someone like turned on the instant translate button from my spirit guides, and I no longer had to do that. It was no effort or work to translate the messages. It was just like they were coming straight at me. And then having that experience of having Isis come and speak to me. And after visiting a temple of Horus came to me. And also, which was so interesting because, hearing Isis come and tell me from a female perspective, like this need of us to restore the balance. But then Horus came to me and talking to me about the masculine side, and how the men are just stuck in that. Like, even when they want to find their way out, it's almost impossible for them to find their way out because it's so out of balance and stuck there. It's like, like if there's the teeter-totter's like this and they got to climb up. It's like we need to bring the balance there so it's easier to walk across. But like, yeah, I never in a million years thought I would be receiving messages from Isis and Hathor or Horus. I have not received messages yet from Hathor, and I'm not sure why, but maybe this next trip coming up, she'll connect with me, because that's part of the intention of the trip, is connecting with the goddesses. And Mary's going to do some exercises with us on connecting with them and some initiations with them, part of the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. And but yeah, the energy over there just makes it easier to cross dimensions and get into that space where you can finally hear and receive. And like I said, there are some of us that are going on this trip that have had these experiences and can help you dial in and have those experiences for yourself. Because once you've started to do that, it just becomes easier and easier. And so Egypt is kind of like the easy button in opening up your third eye and your crown chakra to be able to receive those messages from spirit and source. And part of this is the reason that I wanted to do this is, when I went on that trip with Mary, I was actually the only one that signed up for her tour. She takes 2 tours every year. And the one that I chose to go on, nobody else went on, which also I've learned one of my other superpowers when I'm traveling is to push everybody that I don't want around me out of my way. Like I had private time inside the Great Pyramid without paying the thousands of dollars that it costs to have private time in the Great Pyramid. I went up there just with my guide. And when I came back down, Mary didn't go with me because she's been in there a million times and she was just wanting a little rest because it is a little bit physically demanding to go up there. And so anyway, I came out and I told her how nobody was there. And she was like, how's it possible? Like, look at the line of people that are waiting to go in. Like, there's no way that there weren't people in there with you. And I was like, well, yes, that's exactly what it was. There were no people there with me. So, but she also was like, you had the experience everybody hopes to have. And I'm like, oh, well, I can help people have those experiences. So,
yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be so amazing.
It is. So go to, this is on the podcast website, the botgpodcast.com / what does it say? Egyptian retreat, I think. But if you go on the retreats, click on that and scroll down to the Egyptian one and check out everything that we have in store for you.
And ask us, reach out to us any way that it's the millennium. I'm sure you could find where we're having lunch. Everything's available online. Find us, ask us questions. And with everything that we have, we'll get you there. We'll figure it out.
Yay. All right. Let's call it a wrap, Graciela. And we'll see you all on the flip side.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.